Hello, welcome back to the James Rambling Reviews for yet another episode. Today's episode is all about the Blue Eye Samurai, or it's just called Blue Eye Samurai, all in capital letters. And so if you're wondering why I'm doing this, is because recently I found the time to actually finish this series, and so I'll give you my review of the series and kind of talk about how I feel about each and every episode. However, I'm not going to spoil everything because I did do research prior to this review that the next season actually comes out in 2026, or it's at least scheduled for that anyway, right? So there's going to be those points where, you know, in the next few years, if somebody's like, oh, we need to watch Blue Eye Samurai, I'm not going to spoil myself on it, I'm going to go and watch that. And so this will be a really spoiler free video, but I'll still give you a bit about the plot, what I gave the whole series out of 10, every episode out of 10, and stuff like that. And so just a little bit of context is that I heard so much about this series, but not spoiler-worthy things, you know what I mean? Like, just saying, like, this series is freaking awesome, this series is awesome, this series is so good, it's so well written, and it's something that just came out of the woodworks, came out of nowhere, surprises everybody, and it actually won an Emmy, which is pretty much the TV show, award show version of the Oscars. So if that is doing that, then it's like, that is absolutely saying a lot, because not a lot of TV shows, and you don't really... Nowadays, you don't really care about award shows because you're just like, I just want to watch a show. Who really cares about that, you know what I mean? And the Oscars is going crazy, but there's all of that, right? But that's not what this video is about. And so, I will give you my little kind of plot summary. And yeah, so pretty much what this series is about is pretty much, it's kind of like a animated version of, I don't know, like Kill Bill or John Wick, where there's this main protagonist on an adventure, on a journey to get some revenge on people that did them wrong. And so it's set during the Edo period of Japan, and so there's definitely that. And so the main character is called Mizu. She's this girl who is actually like half American, half Japanese, stuff like that, and you can definitely tell that this whole series is actually in English. It is not an anime, it is actually a 3D animated cartoon, if you would believe that. Like, so yeah, there's that. So how do I feel about this series? So enough of the glazing and the praising that everybody has been doing, right? I'm going to be honest with you, it took me a while to get into this series because I started it a month or two back, and the first 3 or 4 episodes are really rough in my opinion. Like, yeah, of course it's going to build out this story and everything's going to happen, but things do take a little bit too long to get going for me. So it's like, oh yeah, she's kind of slowly learning how to fight, or she's kind of slowly learning how to know where everything is in the town and all of that stuff. It's like, yeah, okay. So for that purpose alone, like, I would give the first half of this series a 6 or a 7 out of 10 because, yeah, it was setting everything up. And then when you get into the back half of this series, I'm talking like episode 5, episode 6, episode 7 and episode 8, it is just a non-stop hot streak of absolute peak television, because the way it just sets everything up, and especially when you get in episode 6 where there's a lot of that action going on and what was actually prior set up in the episodes before this, right, you could definitely see where everything was going, how everything was going and stuff like that. And so there's that, and I'm going to be honest, right, the animation, it does become a lot better the more the series goes on, which is a very good thing, because some series that you watch, you're like, okay, it's just the same animation style the whole way through, there's no innovation, there's no motivation to actually make the animation stand out, be memorable or anything like that. Like, the first few episodes are very weird because it's 3D animation, and then they do these things where they brighten up the sceneries, they brighten up the way everything's shot, and so it looks a lot more interesting to watch. And especially as the plot actually unfolds and you get to see where the character is going, yeah, you definitely feel that the animators cooked with this one, because they really took the time, they really realised that, okay, we don't need to just keep doing it the same way, we can just mix it around, add more colours, add more cool effects and stuff like that. And so there's definitely that. And so because of that, right, I do also think that some of the voice acting is pretty cool. Like, the characters, they don't sound horrible or anything like that, because it's not, because it's not a dubbed anime or anything, or it's not originally Japanese. All of it flows naturally, and you're like, yeah, these characters are supposed to sound this way because this is how the show goes, type of thing. And so, for me personally, right, I would absolutely give this series, like, if you're gonna go past episodes 3 to 4 when they're just kind of going through these areas, she's just starting to kind of learn what's going on, right, the series goes from a 6 or a 7, close to a masterpiece. Wow, absolutely close to a masterpiece, because I just feel like that build-up that happened and everything like that was amazing, and especially when you realise what actually happens in the final episode with the villain and the main character. It's like, yeah, she was dying to get to this moment, and she finally does. And another thing I forgot to mention was how this show actually proves that you can have an not over the top, but like overpowered character that can actually get shit done reasonably, and it makes absolute sense. So she, because obviously she goes through all these struggles, she goes through all this trauma and all these experiences she's had in the past with friends and family, and I'm not going to explain how that happens because it'd be a bit of a giant spoiler, right? But you see how she's a bit of a flawed character, and then you realise she is actually the hero of this storyline, and she's not actually the villain, even though people kind of mistreat her because, oh, she's half Japanese, she's half British, like whatever they describe in the series, right? And it's like, yeah, you can definitely tell that she has a lot of character development. You can understand where the series is coming from, right? And so, yeah, that's my review of Blue Eye Samurai. There's so many ways in which I can talk about this series, but yeah, absolute television. Please watch it if you haven't. I cannot wait for the season 2. I know it's in 2026, but they really need to take their time to animate this. And I slightly thought to myself, why are they going to make a season 2? Because if you know how the series ends, it kind of ends perfectly, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, but yeah, that's it. That's kind of a different review for you. So yeah, see you in another review, and that's it. Bye. Blue Eye Samurai, freaking awesome, baby. Yeah.